Jan friends, I'm Major Gaurav Arya and you're watching the Chanakya Dialogues English. And all these people in India, I'm telling you, all the politicians who scream free speech are the people who have put journalists in jail. They've put journalists in jail. I'll tell you why China is doing all that. Friends, China is doing that simply because China is truly rattled. Because Prime Minister Modi's government is hitting China where it hurt. Jan friends, I'm Major Gaurav Arya and you're watching the Chanakya Dialogues English. Like this video, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to press the bell icon. You know, Prime Minister Modi landed in America to a very huge welcome, and I'm sure you've been seeing those television images constantly streaming. I was on air till 1:30 in the morning, and it's going to be a very hectic but a very wonderful next 2.5 days till the time Prime Minister Modi is in America, and he met a lot of people initially. So I'll just tell you how he landed at Andrews Air Force Base. He was received by the Indian community. He was received by, the Indian ambassador and a lot of officials to receive him. He was received by the Americans there. He sat in this vehicle. He went to his hotel. He checked in, and outside the hotel there were literally hundreds upon hundreds of Indians who were waiting there. And these people had been waiting there for hours, and they said that we can wait here for the entire day. We don't care. We want a glimpse of him. This is the kind of rock star reception that Prime Minister Modi gets wherever he goes. I've never seen this, and I've seen a lot of prime ministerial visits, and this is not to take away anything from former prime ministers. All have done their jobs well. That is why they are prime ministers of India. All have done their jobs, and wherever India finds itself today is, a significant contribution of all the prime ministers in the past. But never have I ever seen in my entire life such a rock star reception. Prime Minister Modi goes anywhere. It's like this massive Bollywood / Hollywood / some, out of this world celebrities coming there, and people are going absolutely bonkers, absolutely nuts. And they're saying that, no, we want to meet him, we want to shake his hand. Even if he waves to us, our visit here would be worthwhile. So he came outside the hotel, he met everybody, and then he went outside, and immediately, like Prime Minister Modi has been doing all his life, immediately he went in. There was no rest, no recoup, no saying that, okay, let me take a half an hour break, let me wash. He directly went and started the series of meetings, and I have a list here of people whom he met. I'll just take 2 or 3 names and then I'll explain what it means. He met a lot of people. We don't have the time to take everybody's name and tell you about everybody, but he met Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio is the head of Bridgewater Associates, supposedly the largest hedge fund in the world, and Prime Minister Modi met him. So, when you talk about global finance, Ray Dalio is right up at the top of the food chain. And Prime Minister Modi met him. Prime Minister Modi also met, very interestingly, Neil deGrasse Tyson. And Neil deGrasse Tyson is an astrophysicist. He's a stargazer. He's a star watcher. He's a very, very respected figure. He's very well known in this field. And Prime Minister Modi met him. He spent a lot of time with him, and Mr. Tyson says that he was very pleasantly surprised to see that Prime Minister Modi has such a deep, abiding interest in space. So he met him. Prime Minister Modi also met a lot of people from the health industry. He met a lot of academicians. He met some industrialists, and above all, I think, let's come directly to the point, he met Elon Musk. Now, there are 2-3 things that Elon Musk said, which I must bring to your notice, and I think it's fantastic. I think he's also, I will not use the word ideological, but he is mentally aligned to Prime Minister Modi's way of thinking and India's way of thinking. And I think he's going to be a grand success in India. So first, let's get the elephant out of the room. This whole thing by Jack Dorsey, where he said that India is supposedly the world's largest democracy, and India is supposed to be so free, and typical left liberal garbage, which you twist out of context. Of course, India is a liberal democracy. Of course, India is the largest democracy in the world. Where is the doubt? But what the communists want, what the left liberals want, and all these communists, by the way, are multimillionaires, and some of them are billionaires, right? Like that anarchist, George Soros. All these guys are very, very rich. If they feel so much for the common man, why don't you just give away all their wealth? They won't do that. They just want to use communism as a weapon to cause disruption. Now, what Jack Dorsey did was, you're aware, we have covered that in the Chanakya Dialogues English before. He said that, India is supposedly your biggest democracy in the world, but we were pressured during the farmers' agitation. We were told we'll shut you down. the homes of our executives were raided. India said nothing doing, nothing happened. We never told you that we'll shut down Twitter. But, Jack Dorsey went on and on and on and on, and the opposition parties in India rigged it up. Now, the opposition parties in India are strangely quiet right now. And everybody's strangely quiet. Nobody's saying anything. Because there is nothing to be said. Elon Musk said, Elon Musk was asked this question. And he said, Mr. Musk, what do you have to say about Jack Dorsey's statements that, India being the largest democracy pressured Twitter and said that, you do this or that or we'll shut you down and all that. So they asked him this question directly. And Elon Musk responded in a very Elon Musk-esque way. He said, whichever country Twitter operates in, we are bound to follow the local rules. And that's it. It's as simple as that. You follow the rules. That's how you get business done. The problem is, see, you have to understand one thing, and this I want to tell all Indians. You have this opinion about media. You have this opinion in your mind about Twitter, about Facebook, and how these are paragons of free speech or should be. Listen, first of all, please understand, free speech, yes, definitely. I'm a supporter. But the Indian Constitution does not guarantee absolute speech, absolute free speech. No, the Indian Constitution does not do that. The Indian Constitution says there are reasonable restrictions on free speech. Because let me tell you, if you have free speech, absolute free speech, there'll be anarchy in this world. Charlie Hebdo tried free speech. So many of the journalists were killed. This is what is going to happen if you have free speech. And this is just one angle. There are many other angles. So this free speech is always limited. There is no unlimited free speech. I can't say tomorrow that, I have so many followers on social media and let me cause absolute mayhem and, anarchy on the streets of India because it is my right to free speech. No, it doesn't work that way. And all these people in India, I'm telling you, all the politicians who scream free speech are the people who have put journalists in jail. They've put journalists in jail for free speech. All right? And they are supposed to be the flag bearers of free speech. There is a certain lady whose name I will not take, who has blocked me on Twitter. Right? And this lady, she never talks about, she's a member of parliament and she's an honorable member of parliament. I will not take the lady's name. She's a member of parliament and she is waving the red flag every single day. Free speech, this, democracy, this, falana, this, dimka, this, every single day. That's all she does. She will never talk about her constituency. She will never get up and say, okay, I'm the member of parliament of this constituency and this is the work that I've done for my people, for my constituents. Never once. Never once. It is always this and that, this and that. The government is bad, the prime minister is bad, this person is terrible, this person is horrible. You speak in accented English on the floor of the parliament and that is your claim to fame. Not the work you have done, the speeches that you have given. Now, the problem is her own government put a journalist in jail for many, many, many years. Some say over a decade just for speaking out. And these are the flag bearers of free speech in India. So what Elon Musk said is that, hey, listen, relax. We have to follow the laws of the land. Twitter is not above the government of India. It is not above the Constitution of India. And if the Constitution of India says reasonable restrictions, then there are reasonable restrictions. That is the end of the story. And there is a problem with us also. Let me take this a bit further. There is a problem with us. And our problem is that many of us want free speech as long as it is not targeted towards us. As far as everybody else is concerned, we love free speech. Musk just said, what had to be said? He said, you have to follow the rules of the country. Twitter is not in China today, but tomorrow, if Twitter were to enter China, Twitter will have to follow Chinese rules. They're in Russia, they follow Russian rules. They're in UK, they follow UK rules. Whichever country you go to, you have to follow the rules. Don't take Twitter as a media platform. Right? If tomorrow Toyota is manufacturing cars in India, will it have to follow Indian emission norms or no? Will it have to follow Indian car safety norms or no? You can't say that just because I am a foreign entity, basically, I'm a foreign entity, Indian rules don't apply. So apparently Toyota and Honda don't need a license to operate in India. They can do whatever they wish, right? And any foreign company that operates in India, Twitter is a foreign company. Facebook is a foreign company. They are there for profit. It is just that news and opinions are some of the things that they also do. People exchange opinions on Twitter. People fight on Twitter. People share lovely things on Twitter. People share politics on Twitter, and that's okay. Everybody has a right to share whatever they wish to share. But at the same time, you must understand that Twitter is a business, Facebook is a business, YouTube is a business. They're there to make money. And when you're there to make money, when your interests are commercial, you have to follow the laws of the land. Even if you're an NGO, even if your interests are not commercial, you still have to follow the laws of the land. It applies to you, it applies to me, it applies to everybody. So stop, for heaven's sake, making gods out of these platforms. They're not gods here. They're simple businesses. Brilliant businesses, but businesses at the end of the day with the profit motive on top. That is why Elon Musk fired so many people from Twitter. Why did he fire so many people? Why did he try to streamline everything? Why did he give up real estate? Because he said that I've spent $45 billion buying Twitter. Now I have to make it profitable. That is my basic job. And he's not lying. You may not like it. You may not like the fact that people were fired, but people were fired, and they were fired because he has to make it profitable. That is why he said, you want the blue tick, give me money and I'll give you a blue tick. Yeah. People said, no, how can you do that? Typical left liberal nonsense. Right? How can you do that? He did it. He says, my company, it's a privately held company. I'll do whatever I wish, and he did it. That's it. Now, also about Elon Musk, what happened was that Elon Musk, surprisingly, he met Prime Minister Modi and he said that I will come to India as fast as it is humanly possible. People said, do you want to start manufacturing in India? And he said, yes, positively. He's going to start manufacturing. And Elon Musk also said that he's a huge PM Modi fan. He says, I'm a big fan. Now, I would have never imagined Elon Musk using these kind of words or this kind of language because, he comes across as a guy who's, while he's fun on Twitter and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, he's a very astute businessman. Let me tell you that India's relationship with Tesla has not been smooth always. For the past few years, Tesla has been trying to get in Chinese cars into India. So Tesla says we'll manufacture in China, but we'll sell in India. We want to judge the market. We want to see the market, and then we'll possibly think of manufacturing in India. So we want certain, tax breaks, etc. India said absolutely not. It's not happening. It'll never happen. You want benefits, you have to manufacture in India. Tesla said no. Today, Tesla said yes. And I think this is a major departure from Tesla's previous policy. Tesla is coming to India, and Elon Musk has given a public commitment. There's another news of yesterday, which is very interesting. John Kirby, he is the NSC coordinator for strategic communications. He said that Washington supported India's emergence as a great power. Now, this is a government statement, and he said that India is emerging as a great power in the world, and we are supporting it. I'll take a minute and also explain this whole great power bit and why it's happening. But another news is that, Micron, the semiconductor company, India has cleared Micron's semiconductor testing and packaging plan. And this plant is coming up in Gujarat. And they said sources within the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology confirmed to Business Today, and this is Business Today news, that Micron's technology semiconductor testing and packaging proposal has got approval from Indian cabinet. So they're saying that I think it's, if I remember correctly, this is $1 billion worth of investment that they're talking about. This was cleared on the eve of Prime Minister Modi's visit to the United States of America. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll just take a minute and explain this whole great power thing, and then we'll move on to the question and answer session, Ask Major. So, basically, there is only one country that can stand up to China. In Asia, there is only one country which has exhibited the gumption, the courage, and the fortitude to stand up to China. Most other countries, goose step around China. They don't want to upset China. They don't want to, they don't want to say anything or do anything that will rattle China. Now, why is China upset? Sajid Mir was one of the terrorists involved in 26/11, and Sajid Mir was, India wanted him to be declared a terrorist by the United Nations. That move was blocked by China. There are articles in Global Times, the editorial which says that this a relationship between India and the United States will fail, and this and that. Why is China doing all that? And I'll tell you why China is doing all that. Friends, China is doing that simply because China is truly rattled. Because Prime Minister Modi's government is hitting China where it hurt the most. You must have all heard the story of how Prabhu Shri Ram killed Ravana. He killed him by, shooting an arrow into his navel, because that is where, that Kalash of Amrit was, and he sort of, Ravana died. Before that, they were cutting off his heads and a new head would grow. The story is that whenever Lord Ram would shoot an arrow, the arrow would take off his head and another head would grow. But when he shot him in the navel, it was sort of an Achilles heel of Ravana. Just to explain to a Western audience what I'm talking about, this is something like the Achilles heel. Achilles will not die unless that arrow was, shot at his heel, and that is how Achilles died. So, essentially what I'm trying to say is that China's Achilles heel is the Chinese economy, and the reason why China is so upset with Prime Minister Modi's visit to the United States is that China feels that if there is one country that has stood up to us, that is India. And you know what it actually means, Prime Minister Modi? Forget about all the, the media hype that is going on around it. Let's cut to the chase, as the Americans say. Let's just come to the brass tacks. Prime Minister Modi's visit essentially to America has one major underlying target. And the Chinese know that Prime Minister Modi will achieve that target. And that is, and I'm telling you today, which is not being discussed in the media, but I'm telling you this today, one of his major targets is to get American companies out of China and move them into India. And this is something that China will never tolerate. Tesla saying that we want to move to India. Tomorrow Indians will start using Tesla cars. There'll be Tesla cars on the roads. There is no dearth of money in India, right? There are going to be Tesla cars on the road. And that will give Elon Musk an idea that maybe you can make them cheaper in India. He's a businessman after all, right? And there is this huge American government push in which they are encouraging their companies to come out of China. And when these companies come out of China, when they withdraw, when the decoupling happens, they're going to move to India or one of the other countries. And this is something that China does not like. My friends, we'll keep on bringing you new news from the United States of America, the Prime Minister's visit to the US, and we'll be keeping you up to date. And now is the time for Ask Major. We have selected 2 questions today, and I'm going to answer them. Ask Major. So, Indiana Cones, I don't know what your name is, sir, but hi, Indiana Cones. Good morning, sir. Good morning. As you've seen the ground reality of terrains our soldiers are situated in, my question is, why has India not been interested in ground support aircraft like the A-10 Warthog or the AC-130s? And do you believe the theatre commands are the answer to the previous mishaps like Galwan, so the Air Force and ground forces can work more in sync to reduce lag time between them? Jai Hind. So I'm going to take one question because you've asked 2, and I'm going to avoid answering the question on A-10s because every country's requirement is different and India's requirement is different. I'll leave it at that. Ground support aircraft, if India wants it, India will take it. Currently, India has not shown the public desire, the Air Force has not shown the public desire to have an A-10 or in that series. I'll leave it at that. Now, your interesting question about theatre commands, is it the answer to previous mishaps like Galwan? See, Galwan has nothing to do with theatre commands. Please understand. Theatre commands essentially are the top echelon of kinetic conflict. That was not Galwan was about. Galwan was when both the countries had signed agreements and said that near the line of actual control, because it's a perceived, it's a perceptional border. It's not a real border. We perceive that line to be our border, the Chinese perceive this line to be our border, and which is why the clashes happen. There is no firm line of actual control. If you look at the Chinese maps, the LAC is totally different. If you look at the Indian maps, the LOC is totally different. And in some cases, there are kilometers of difference. I know because I've been posted along the line of actual control. In 97, I was there. 96, 97, I think. So, now what I'm trying to tell you is that, this entire piece about, theatre commands that you mentioned, it has nothing to do. Galwan is violation of treaty by the Chinese and the Indian response. But yes, theatre commands are important because of the reasons that you have written. The ability of the Army, Navy and the Air Force to fight together under a single unit command structure. That is what theatre commands are about. They are about a lot of other things also. I am oversimplifying it, but just to explain to you, this is what it is about. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, press like, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram, Bharat Mata ki Jai.